the sat nav, to take it out of its cradle, basically you unlock it, there's a little bar underneath, you press and the top will come up. There's a little clip just by the main block, you press in and it comes out. That becomes more apparent when it's out. Okay, that's the clip you push in. And to install, it's simply reverse, click in, press down, lock the sat nav cradle up. Okay? The decision to leave the sat nav in its cradle is entirely yours. They are waterproof, but if you're not using it, it might be worth you take it out and put it away in its case supplied on the bike. Okay, what we'll do now is switch the ignition on, and you can see the bike go through its preset up to check everything's okay, and the displays come up. Okay, that is now ready to start the ignition. If we quickly go over it, these are displays where any error codes will come up. The flashing lights are normal for when you start the bike up. That is the ACS, that's just the engine warning light. These will go out when you start riding the bike. If they don't, then we have a problem. On the left there you have the temperature gauge. These bikes are water cooled. They're different from the old ones because the old ones are air cooled, so keep your eye on the temperature. Next is the petrol gauge. Then you have your gear selection. So obviously at the moment we're in neutral. And then you have the trip meter. You also have two modes, riding modes on this bike. One is road, one is rain. If it's raining, please put it in rain mode because that stops the that starts the ACS in a lower gear, if you like, and it stops the back slipping around. You then have the amount of miles that the bike has done, the time, and the trip, how long this trip's lasted. Normally there is no display lights coming up. Now when you saw when I turned on the ignition, there was a red or yellow triangle. Now if it's a yellow triangle, it's usually a warning display, which means either the light bulb's gone or the rear lights are not working. So it's not that important, but you must let the bike maintenance officers know. If it's a red triangle, that is more severe. So stop the bike, look at the error displayed, it will be a symbol. Just talk to the BMO or the coordinator and we'll get that sorted out. The bike also comes with an onboard computer. If you look at this press button here, it's the menu, and it gives you various items of what you can select. The first press is the info key, and to change the display there is this rotating knob here, which will then go up or down depending which way you're rotating it. Okay, if you press the menu key again, you look at the trip meters. Now if you want to reset any of the trip meters, rotate the knob to the relevant trip and then press it to the right, and as you see it's now reset to 0. And then press the menu again. This is where your heated grips are contained. So if you want to increase the temperature, turn the knob up and you see the bars going up. So you can set it to the maximum or minimum depending on the temperature at the time. But also note, on the display of the bike, as soon as you set the heated grips on, the little orange light comes on. So that will tell you if you've got grips on or off. Okay? Next thing to show is the mode. This key, when you press this key, the mode on the bike changes from road to rain. So if you look, you've got rain, then it goes to road. As we said, if it's normal conditions, use road mode, but if it is raining, please change to rain. Right, to insert petrol into the bike, it's the same as the other one. Turn your key, open the flap, petrol in, close that. Make sure you press it down firmly, because sometimes if it's not pressed firmly, it stays open and you can get a very bad waft of fuel coming through. To undo the seat and to transform the height, very straightforward. You put the key in there, turn it, seat comes away. Now to change the height of the seat, it's very straightforward. If you see this button here, press it open and then that will lift out. Now you can see that you've got an L or an H. So if you want the seat in a high position, put the H towards you, put it back in the crate and then snap it down. You can then put the seat back on and it's in the high position. To open the panniers, same as the old bikes, lift up there and open. To lock, now locked. Okay, the rear hump is different. There is no key for the rear hump. What you need to do is press this button. But as you can see, the ignition's not on, therefore the hump will not open. What you need is the ignition on. Press that button. The hump opens. Straightforward to close, as before. If you do take the key out and you just got off the bike, that will work for a few minutes afterwards. Okay? But there is a time limit when it will actually not work, so be wary of that. Right, the main operation of the bike on the handlebars is pretty much the same as the old one. You have the main head beam and flash. So that's standard. Horn, indicators as operated on most modern bikes, left to go left, right to go right, and press in to stop. You have the hazard warning, and just press to stop it. And on this side you have the kill switch and the start switch. So that is the same as the old bikes. When you're checking the fluid levels, make sure the bike's on its centre stand and it's on a level ground. Run the engine up to temperature and then let it set for 5 minutes so that the oil's gone through the system and is in the reservoirs. Now this is the clutch reservoir. There is nothing to check, so just make sure the clutch is operating properly. It doesn't feel rough or anything. If there's a problem, obviously let us know. This is the front reservoir for the brakes. As you can see, there is a glass panel at the back. Just make sure that the brake fluid is to the top maximum. Obviously when the pads wear, the brake fluid goes down, so we might need to top it up. Now the rear brakes is a bit different. If you come down to the offside of the bike, you will see a panel there. This just comes away and you will see the rear brake fluid reservoir there. You need to check to make sure it's up to its maximum. Okay? Now we look at the oil. As usual, it's underneath in a window. Can you see that? It's actually half full. Maximum is to the top of the window, minimum is to the bottom, so that is within operating tolerance. Now we look at another function, is the water. If you look just at the vent by the horn, you will see a little window. You probably can't see the level on this because it's too fine, but that's where you have to look to make sure the water coolant is at the right level. If the water coolant needs topping up, you will not be able to do that yourself because all of these bars will have to be taken off and the panels taken off. So if the water coolant is low and the temperature is high, please let us know so we can get it sorted out. If you need to put more oil into the bike, it's pretty much the same as the older bikes, with the exception of you need to lift the seat, and in the seat you have the oil filler key. Just take it out, place it on the unit, open it up, get the gist of it, open it up, then put the oil in, but do not overfill it, okay? And remember, please put the key back and put the seat back. As the old bikes, you have the screen goes up and down. You set it to whatever position you want. Unlike the old bikes, as soon as you take the ignition key out, you'll notice the screen going down. Don't worry, you won't have to reset it again, because as soon as you put the ignition key and start riding off, the screen will then come up to its normal position. Okay, the operation of the emergency lights and sirens is a bit more complex. So what we'll do is put a sheet on the bike, so you've got an idea what they do, but we'll go over it now. These are the rear matrix signs which are used on the police for police stop. We don't use them. And also the BMW auxiliary headlights are on the bottom switch, which again are not used. Now these are the siren switches. If you press that one upwards, you get the yelp. If you press it down, you get the wail. Now if you actually press the yelp key, you can then change it to a wail by pressing the horn switch. So let's demonstrate that. So when you're riding in traffic and you want to change from wail to yelp, you just use that. Now underneath you have, you can have the siren switch on, but to engage the siren you press the button. Now the bottom one is to change the sound of the horn. Normal horn is that. Press it down, you get a bull horn. Okay, so I think that's all of the siren switches sorted out. The two buttons here is, if you press this, you will get a single cycle of siren wail and blue lights. Now it's underneath the horn, so be very, very careful. The F2 is replacing the headlight flasher. If you press it once, you'll notice that the blue lights have come on continuous and the front headlight should flash, but as we haven't got the engine turning over, it won't happen. Something to note, if you are at night and you press the F2, you will not get the headlight flashing. There is a sensor that stops headlight flashing at night. On the other side, the switches are as follows. The top switch is for continuous red at the rear. Okay. The next switch is not used at all. To switch off the rear lights, again, just press the button again. You then got your blue lights. The top switch is for the front blues, and the bottom is for the rear blues. The next switch, you press it up, you get the front blues and the rear blues, and also the headlight will flash if it's during the day, not at night. The bottom switch switches off the rear, the top switch switches off the top. The rear switch is just for the rear pole only and flashing headlights. Now, switch underneath, if you press it up, you get flashing reds. If you remember, on the old bikes you had a switch that did flashing, then steady, then off. But this is different. And the bottom one is for the rear blues. Now to switch off the blues you just press the switch down. To switch off the red you press the switch up. These two switches are not used, so therefore can't worry about it. Whilst filming, we've noticed a couple of inaccuracies, so rather than redo the whole video again, we'll just point them out. Firstly, I did say that that was the engine light. In fact, it's the ABS light. So once you start moving, those lights will go out. The second inaccuracy was the blue lights. If you press the top button, it's not just the front lights that come on, it's the rear light as well. And to stop them, you just press the button again. Another bit of safety information is, when I first got on this bike I couldn't put the side stand down when I finished riding. The reason is, on the older bikes you're looking for the side stand past your peg. On the new bikes you have to press the side stand down from just in front of the peg. Okay, so please be wary of that, otherwise you'll be in panic mode.